Question of the day. What is your favorite subjective-based judgment game? What do I mean by that? Think apples to apples. Think games where you and your group determines the rightness or wrongness of an answer based on you personally, not something set as a parameter in the game. Because today we're talking about a game called PinPoint. Now, I was at Gen Con, I had a blast. If I got to meet you there and got to see you there, thank you for coming by and let me do some card tricks and stuff. I had a blast, but the designer of this game came over and was like, hey, Bryan, I saw your review of Stockpile. I really enjoyed that. And he's also the designer of Stockpile, one of the designers. And this was Seth. Sorry, my mind just totally blanked on me there for a second. But Seth came by and said, hey, I got this game I want you to try. So I had it there at Gen Con. Well, then lo and behold, he was running tests of it. So I went also and played there. And since then, I've played some. And it's just a blast. I'm not supposed to tell you that yet. But let's go to the let's go to how to play. Then we'll come back and talk final thoughts. So here is PinPoint. This is 1 to 100 setup. I'll show the other ones as well. Everyone gets one of these nifty boards. Not this side, that's least, most, and 1 to 10. This one is the one you want, 1 to 100. The way it works is you're going to roll the 10-sided dice here, and then whichever one you get, so we're a 4, puts us at worst sound to best sound. Now the way this works is you're going to subjectively put a clue down, so we'll put worst sound to best sound here, just to remind us. We then will get a number, a numerical value, which is right here. You'll then also take one of these cards, roll the dice. So we have a 9. 9 gets us a 28. So we have a 28 for worst sound. So obviously on the lower end of the spectrum, more of a worst sound. So I'm going to put as my guess to get people to try to guess this number, because essentially I'm trying to get them to get my number, which is again 28. I'm not going to write it. Yeah. I'll write it down here, so it's 28. Just even though you wouldn't actually write that down, my clue is going to be, just don't forget your number, basically. My clue is going to be tires screeching. Tires screeching. It's not the worst sound in the world, but you obviously don't want to hear it, but it is pretty bad. So tires screeching. So someone will look over there, they'll say, tires screeching. I think that's a 38. Someone else might say, no, I think it's a 65, because they're thinking, worse could be like the sound of someone murdering you or whatever. Point being, the person that's the closest gets a point. If you're within 10, or if multiple people within 10, you get a certain amount of points as well. Let me read that real quick. Yeah, the guessers get a point for guessing within 10 of the secret number, a point for guessing the number exactly, and then a point for being closest to the number. The clue giver gets a point if a guesser guesses within 10. A clue giver gets another point if somebody got it exactly, and then another point if enough guesses are within 10. Based on the player count, you can see that right there. The player count tells you what you need to get that extra bonus point. So, and it kind of gives you some ideas over here, right, of things that you might use. So that's 1 to 100. Now let's check out the other ones. So then 1 to 10 is like this. You have your least, most. You have the characters laid out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now you could write them, the actual numbers, or you could write the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Anyway, point being is you're going to then take one of these cards. The active player will read the who's most likely to. Watch a soap opera. Be able to detect a lie. Let's do that. Be able to detect a lie. So who of these characters is going to be the most able to detect a lie? So we're going to go with, obviously, the most likely would be Spider-Man. He's got his spider senses, right? Least likely, we're going to go with Mr. Clean, because someone told him that look was a very hip look, and it's not, right? So Mr. Clean, Spider-Man, that's what our answer is going to be. Everybody will then reveal their answers. You get a point besides your answer for everyone else thinking like you. So if multiple people said Mr. Clean for least, then I'll get a point for each one that did it. For best or most, I would get a point for each who did it as well. That's least most. Last but not least is 1 to 10. It's a lot like 1 to 100. It's just a little bit more specific in the sense that you're going between 1 and 10 versus 1 to 100. But it's teams based, so you're working as teams. So the main one I wanted to show you was 1 to 100, but there are 3 entire games in here. So that's PinPoint. Now there are 3 different modules, but first and foremost, I want to talk about the one that I enjoy the most because I love the concept. We're all, look behind me. You see the deeper games. You see the heavier games. Like, I don't know if you can see them in the depth of field, but you see games like Twilight Imperium, which is my number 2/3/1 game of all time behind the Mansions of Madison Side. Western Legends, sorry. So number 4, top 5. So I like heavy, deep games, but I also love, I'm looking right over here, So Clover, I love Just One, Letter Jam, Blockbuster. I love those quick, simple party games. So there's two sides of me. It's a little Jekyll and Hyde. So when I'm looking for a party game, there are certain things I'm looking for. And the number one thing I'm looking for is the ability, because our group is really good about playing games together when it comes to party games, just being able to rib each other and laugh a ton. Laughter is the key to party games. I don't want to play a party game where it's like, oh, you idiot, why do you do that wrong? And that can come up with code names sometimes, even though it's a good game. But I love games where you're just rolling, laughing the whole time. If it's a deduction game, you're like, yeah, I know you're the spy. All that sort of stuff is the best to us. But the thing about this game, PinPoint, is it's really interesting that your answers are based on what you know about someone else. So let's say, for instance, you get one between 1 and 100, appetizer to full meal, or snack to a full meal, and you're like, well, wait a minute, what does that person consider a full meal? Are they talking like 5-course fogo de chao? Or are they talking like, you know, jalapeno poppers, oh, I'm not choking. If you, sorry, you're gonna choke to death because you're too embarrassed to be. Sorry, if you catch that reference, let me know in the comments below. Best sketch comedy show ever. Anyway, long story short, I love the 1 to 100 version of this. Now, the other ones are good too, but 1 to 100 for me is just such a cool concept that you're getting those different things, you know, and then you have to try to get somebody to think, wait a minute, what do they mean by this? What is a 67 to you in this category? I love it. I think this is a blast. I love how it makes you think and makes you read your friends and go, wait a minute, that's what they said last time. So I know that they're big swingers when it comes to range. You know, one of the answers the other day was ancient, and somebody wrote down the word telephone as their guess. And so in my mind, oh, that's only 100 plus, 200 years old at most. So history is pretty long. So I wrote like 82 or 85, and it was like 35. And I was like, what in the world? But getting that dialed in as you play becomes so much fun. So huge proponent of PinPoint. I like that everything is dry erase for the most part in the game. I like the different categories it gives you. Tolkien and Wolverine. Those are all ones that I've seen recently. I just love how those are in the game, the choices that you have, and it feeds you, and the ranges that it gives you, you know, snack to a meal, ancient to recent history, all that sort of stuff. So if you haven't played PinPoint, if you're looking for a great party game, get PinPoint, especially the 1 to 100. The other two modules are good as well, but I wanted to mostly focus on 1 to 100 because that's the one I'm going to play most of the time. Now, between one and the other is cool because you can set it up as anything. It can be between Hugh Jackman and between Tom Holland, right? Or it can be between your dad and your mom, and deciding which one is most likely. So all that's fun, but to me, the 1 to 100 is the way to go.